Okay, official Premier Padel commentator and interviewer, right? Gonza Oubiña. Am I saying your name correctly? Great to meet you.
Yeah, it's a hard one to say. It's very Spanish. It's Gonza Oubiña with an it's
Oubiña,
a
okay.
name, but yeah, it's a hard one. A pleasure to be here, Zaahid.
Okay, so let's start off here. I mean, are you ready for Cancun?
I am more than ready for Cancun. I think it's going to be the start of a great tour. Now we're going to the Americas. We have Cancun, then we have Miami. We go to South America, and yeah, really excited about that one.
Oh no, that sounds fantastic. I mean, Miami, a new circuit, and what do you feel about that? Because pedal in America could be, it seems like it's exploding at this moment, and that could be the frontier of like some crazy things happening in this world. As you see, Arturo Coelho and Galan making the reserve pedal their home ground now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a game changer, that tournament in Miami, honestly. It's going to be the first time that Premier Padel goes with a tournament, and they're going to go to Miami, which is inside the US, probably the country that has the city that has more followers and more players. There's a big culture around in Miami. I've been there in 2024, last year, and it was insane. Yeah, very happy. I remember last week I was in Madrid doing some interviews for Red Bull Paddle. I was having one-on-one questions and one-on-one talks around 10 to 15 minutes with the majority of the top players. And that was one of the questions. What about the tournament in Miami? And every single player says, we're excited for Miami. We want to go to Miami. Great weather, great vibes. And what comes and when it's related to business in paddle, I think it's going to be massive. The deal in Europe, we know it's growing in South Africa or in Africa, but to go to the US in such a big market, it's a game changer.
Well, we're looking forward to it as well, and I think the fans there must be really excited, especially after seeing, the Reserve Cup recently. So we saw there was quite a storm. It's a place where celebrities get involved too. Have you been there as yet? I mean, the backdrop to that is absolutely unbelievable with the yachts in the background. That's something like ridiculous.
Oh, it's beautiful. And even more now, you mentioned the celebrities and also Arturo Coelho moving there. So to have the number one, to have the best, the king living in Miami also shows how important as a market it is. And I think it's going to be a big step also, because it's not only a tournament going there, but also having a name like Arturo Coelho, a guy, the best, living there and carrying the flag of a sport in the biggest market possible. So very excited. And yeah, as you mentioned, when it comes to Miami, it's all luxury, it's celebrities, NBA stars, investors. I mean, I think it's going to be one of the better tournaments in the season.
So is King Arturo going to become the David Beckham of paddle?
Probably, yeah. Why not? I mean, becoming a star. I saw the other day on his agent Instagram, Mickey, have a good relationship with him, and already posting kind of big pictures of Arturo Coelho around the city. Crazy to think that in a city like Miami, we have pictures of a paddle player.
Exactly. I mean, I've seen him at the basketball game, right? He's on the big screen. So paddle's gone mainstream now. This is like paddle mania.
Exactly. Yeah.
So coming off Gijon, the P2, record-breaking tournament, unbelievable. How was it for you to see a lot of kids involved at this tour, Tolito and Gonza Alfonso as well?
Whenever you go to Spain, it's always, it's going to be a great week. It doesn't matter if it's Gijon, if it's Madrid, if it's Barcelona, it's always a party. It's always nice to go to Spain. Even if the sport was created in Mexico, whenever you go to Spain, you feel like home. And it was incredible. It was a tough tournament. We all know that. Top 100 meant not going there to the tournament. And that gave us a chance to have different players like Tolito, like Gonza Alfonso, like Diego Garcia, like Curro Cabeza, and many others. Also countries that usually are not in the main draw of Premier Padel. We had them here. We have Swedish players from the Netherlands. And it was very exciting. A special tournament. I think it's going to be remembered for the crazy stories that we had. And I think we're going to have many, many new additions in Gijón.
And what do you think of the kids that won it? Diego Garcia and Kuro Cabeza.
Crazy. They're so young. And honestly, when they went to the finals, I thought Tolito Aguirre and Gonza Alfonso would win because they know how to play this kind of matches. They have more experience. They did it in different tours. They know how to handle the situation. And then these two kids, 17 and 18, they go there and they play like they were playing in a training ground. No nerves, dominating, using the crowd, getting the energy. It was impressive. And now the chance that they have, obviously, they're going to have a lot of sponsors knocking on the door. They're going to have maybe some calls from better players. It was insane. And also the fun fact that Curro Cabeza is the brother of Arturo Coelho's girlfriend. So imagine how that family has to feel now. Maika dating Arturo Coelho, winning a lot of tournaments, and now you have your brother Curro Cabeza going there and winning a tournament as well.
That's two tournaments in the family in a row, eh?
Exactly.
That's something.
Exactly.
But now something interesting. I looked over at the bench and I saw no coach.
No coach. Yeah, which is even more impressive. Even more impressive.
I mean, that's absolutely unbelievable. So I seen with the two, obviously it's record breaking to have such a young player in the final and a young team win too. Something else I noticed is that they were with, so Curro Cabeza is Paraguayan. He played in the World Cup. They made the semifinals. So I mean, he's having the opportunity to be on the biggest of stages at this age here. I mean, that should only fare well for the future.
Yeah. I mean, I agree, but also you have to be very delicate. Yes, it could be very good if you handle it well, if you push it to the right direction. But let's not think, okay, this is the normal situation for me. I'm going to be there every single time, because if you're that young, sometimes you can be frustrated if you go to the next tournament and probably you lose in the first round, or if it happens, not to go down. It was a different tournament. They all know. I remember the Italian Simone Cremona saying, we're in the semis, but we know the situation in which we are. We know it's a different tournament. So I think Curro Cabeza has to take the opportunity, him and Diego Garcia, in order now to make a name, but calm, chill, easy, because it could be an enemy also for you, this situation.
Yes, I mean, obviously the eyeballs are on them, so they obviously, and then that can't match to that expectation as well. You know, you can't think now they're gonna go and challenge now for. So, like you're saying, calm. The time will come, but the experience must be crazy for kids of that age to be at that level. So they know they've done it. They know that they know they've tasted it. So I think the hunger is going to put something into them. You know, a little bit of hunger, and to taste that once more at some point.
Yeah, it was the best day of their lives by far. And even if they do it again, they will remember that first tournament forever. It was the first time they were there. Nobody knew them. I mean, you know them if you're a paddle freak, as they call ourselves. We consume paddle, we read news, we are always looking at the highlights, but they were new. And now everyone knows you. That was one of the points I was talking through the broadcast. It's not only playing the match, it's playing in front of that public, but you know that everyone's watching. You have Zaahid watching from South Africa. You have a guy watching from China. You have people watching from the US. And that's in your mind. And they went there and they played to perfection to win the match.
I mean, there were some unbelievable moments from both players. I was actually in awe. And I think there's a moment where I looked at Tolito, and he was like in utter disbelief, actually.
Yeah. Even if they faced it, I think in 2024, 2023, so they knew them. But yeah, Tolito and Gonza were impressed. I think they also didn't have the best match. Pressure was an enemy for Tolito and Gonza. It's never easy whenever you go to a final, knowing that everyone is expecting you to win, and things are not going so well. At the beginning, they got broken and things were not going so well. You go to the second with even more pressure. Curro Cabeza and Diego Garcia are playing fantastic, and you have to find some answers. The energy is not good. There was not the best communication in the benches. The coach was also not finding the way to make them connect again. And I feel like, yeah, again, the pressure was the big reason why Tolito and Gonza didn't play like they usually do.
Well, it'll be good to see how they match up in the next tournament, Cancun. Are you going there anytime soon?
I'm not going to go on site. I'm going to commentate remotely that tournament. So it's going to be me, the one uh, being a pain in the ears, as I say, in
Okay.
that tournament as well. But again, I think it's going to be interesting, even more now that, again, a group of players is not going. We have Stupa and we have LeBron, but the group going there, we saw them in Gijón. So we have a background, let's say, a story that we're carrying from Gijón onto that tournament. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens now with Tolito, with Gonza, with Curro, with Diego. That's why I'm so excited about the tournament.
Okay, now we're gonna shift it a little bit now. I don't know if you remember the first time we ever interacted. We put out a video because we want to talk a little bit about your commentating now, right? So we put out a video of Tapia, and we used your line in there to Tapia hits it from the parking lot. One of the great lines, right? I don't know if you remember this.
I don't remember us talking. I remember the point. It was in Brussels last year, the P2. In an incredible shot. That was actually one of the first tournaments that I was commentating, because prior to that I was doing more interviews. So yeah, I remember.
Okay, no, that's fantastic. So, okay, so that is one of your first tournaments. How did you get into? Let's start off. How did you get into pedal? Firstly, obviously you're from Argentina, so I would imagine you possibly grew up playing the sport, and then also part of that, how did you get into pedal commentary?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be surprising probably, but I didn't play paddle when I was a kid in Argentina. Only when I moved to Spain in 2019, so very recent, I started with this paddle fever, let's say. I discovered the sport. I mean, I played a couple times in Argentina, but not regularly. I knew paddle, I knew what it was, but I never followed it. Then I moved to Spain when I was around 23, 24 years of age in 2019. But in Argentina, I started sport journalism, and I was working as a commentator in football. That's why, yeah, off camera, I was telling you, yeah, I love not only paddle, but all of the sports. I follow tennis, I follow basketball, I follow football, all the sports. After finishing my master's degree in Valencia, in Spain, I got the chance to work with Sanyo and Tapia when they were playing together in Sanyo's academy, close to Alicante. So I moved to Sanyo's academy, and I lived there for around a year, let's say a season. And I was going to the tournaments. I was part of the team with Tapia and Sanyo, and training every day also with the kids at the academy. And that's when I fell in love with the sport. But I was not doing commentary. I was more related to, the business part of it, going to with the team, going to the tournaments. And it was very nice also because you were breathing the sport, you were going with the players, you were seeing and witnessing what a player feels, and not an average player, a top player like Tapia and Sanyo. They were back then the number twos challenging LeBron and Galan. So it was great. It was me, the one talking to Sanyo, obviously the coach more, but I was there in the seconds before going to a big match, into a final, into a semifinal. That was something that I would never forget. But then I started feeling like I want to go back to journalism. I want to go back to, commentating. That's my thing. I love, communicating. And I thought and I saw there was a gap in a growing sport like paddle with English market. There's a lot of people commentating paddle in Spanish, and there's a lot of people that can do it. But I saw that maybe there was not a guy with knowledge that knows the players, that know the sport, able to translate what they're saying, and also to give, the energy and the knowledge from the Spanish culture and to bring it to the English broadcast. And I started with an opportunity in A1 Paddle. I worked in A1 Paddle, the older tour, let's say, for a year. And after that job, They liked it in Premier Paddle. They called me from Red Bull for a couple tournaments. I started commentating in Premier last season. And at the end of the year, they offered me the position as the main English commentator for this season in 2025. So that's more or less the story.
So does that mean you contacted to Red Bull, or is it to Premier Paddle themselves then?
I'm working for both now.
Okay.
I'm working for Premier Paddle as a commentator, as a main English commentator. And then Red Bull is doing special productions in some tournaments, the most important ones, the majors, and a couple more. That we go there, we do a TV show, we put a studio. It's really big. It's like tennis style. You go there, you have, different content that you can consume. 30 minutes before the first match of the day, you have a show. 30 minutes after the last match, you have a show. You have players coming to the studio. It's way bigger.
Okay. So take me through a day in the life of a commentator for Premier Paddle.
In a tournament.
Tournament day, match
Yeah.
day.
I mean, it really depends what we do. We have a manager, let's say a guy that it's leading the team. In this case, is a girl, Barbara. She's not Barbara Vitantoria, the one from the interviews, another Barbara. Basically, at the beginning of the week, you have a schedule. You know which matches you're doing and which matches you're not doing. So basically, for me, it depends if I'm working in the first shift, the first 3 matches, let's say, or the last matches. If I'm working in the afternoon, I wake up in the hotel. I try to go to the gym in the morning, have a good breakfast. It's usually nice hotels. I'm not gonna lie, it's really, really, really comfortable. You go there, you have some breakfast, you go to the gym. I try to go at least 1 or 2 days to visit the city. I mean, we're there. That's also something that I'm really grateful. I'm going last year, for example, I went to Egypt. Probably never in my life I would go to Egypt by myself. It's a nice place to go to visit, but it's thanks to Paddle. So we went to the pyramids. You do whatever you can in the day, and then once you get closer to your turn, you go there and you set up everything. I have obviously some research to do before that. You have information about the match, about the players, but what's going on, the other courts. You also try to talk to the players to see how they're feeling. And then once you finish, you go back to the hotel to have some rest, and that's basically it.
Okay, so when you get there to the stadium, like, do you have like goosebumps when you in, like, say, a final, and like, this is, say, Tapia Koyo versus let's say Chingoto Galan now, and the eyes of the world's watching this game here.
Yeah, I love it. When it's finals day, it's very special. There's gonna be more people watching. You have to be very energetic. At the end of the day, we're entertainers. People are turning on TV and they're expecting the guy talking not to be annoying or not entertaining. That's why I'm always getting ready, and it's very exciting. I'm trying to create something new. I know it's a new voice, and it's kind of different to what we have. I'm trying to be more fun, more Spanish stylish, let's say. But yeah, I always get nervous, and at the end of the day, I love the sport. So as much as you're enjoying watching Coelho Tapia, Chingoto Galan, I am doing the same. And I'm there, so I'm a privileged guy, and I enjoy every single minute of it.
And then is there any, like, preparation that you have for those? I mean, besides obviously getting into the Red Bull bins, because I would probably do that. Grab a Red Bull from anywhere there, and then pump myself up, and then let's go.
And Red Bull is mandatory to get more energy always. You have to be sure you're, the technical part also. Once I choose one spot to be, I'm sitting there every single time. I'm not changing the chair. I'm not changing anything. Yeah, but the Red Bull is mandatory, that's for sure.
And then do you have any, like, quirks? Like, some players have certain things. They wear, like, a favorite sock or something like that, on, like, a specific days. Maybe like Tiger Woods, for example, wears his red shirt. Do you have anything superstitions, like, things like that?
Players are very superstitious. They have a lot. For example, Paula and Ari, at the beginning of the week, they know which color and which t-shirt they can use and they cannot use. I don't remember now if it's white for semifinals or blue, but they are trying to follow a pattern according to something they have on their mind. And then they have a lot. For example, Yanguas, if you talk to Mike, you go, hey, Mike, can I see a racket? Yes, of course. But once you touch his grip, he always says, I have to change it. I have to change the grip. Once you touch the grip from Yanguas, yeah, okay, he has to change it. Claudia Fernandez,
That's
whenever
crazy.
they go to the benches and they're talking to, last season it was Rodrigo Vida, she was with Gemma Triay. It's always me, the one that has to high five first the coach. If it's Gemma, done. I feel bad. Gonza, Alfonso, and Tolito, I mentioned this, I think, in the semifinals. If you pay attention to them, once they lose or they win a point and they're serving, it's always the teammate, the one that has to give the ball to the serving guy. It's not going to be Tolito serving, the one that goes and pick up the ball and serves. It's always Gonza, the one picking it up and sending it to him. Even if it's like inches away from Tolito, Gonza will go, he will pick it up, and he will give it to Tolito. And like this, millions.
After you mentioned that, I actually went back and watched it. I was like, okay, I see that now. So that's definitely something that probably gets the players in the zone, I guess, or to try and they can't change that. It probably worked once, and that's superstitions like stayed with them.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, and it's not about whatever make you feel better. It's okay, and why not doing it?
So what's your most memorable moment from the commentary box? It can be anything, really. It can be, whether it's a match or even like things that happen outside the court that's like quite surprising.
Specifically about commentary, for me, the World Cups were the better. I mean, that's Spain and Argentina final, being in Qatar. I remember that week because it was a long tour. I remember it was like 4 tournaments in a row: Egypt, the World Championships, Kuwait, Dubai. It is long. I mean, people think you're living the dream, which is true, but also it's very exhausting to be far away, traveling. Once you're settled in a place, you have to redo your suitcase and move on. So I remember in the World Championships, I was very tired. I was also with a cold because, in Qatar, in these places, they use a lot of AC. So for me, my throat is very important. It's my voice, and I take care a lot of it. I remember I was not the best, but going into that final, Spain-Argentina, the final match, Augsburger, Tino Libac, Paquito Navarro, and Yanguas, I've never seen anything like that before.
My hair was raised. I mean, Augsburger got was it a hamstring injury? Like close to the end?
Everything was epic. He was injured.
Yeah.
The guys, 18 and 17, playing in the bigger stage possible, performing, winning the match. For me, that was something that I would never forget.
When Tino Libac kissed the badge, like he basically pulled his shirt out and that's just like films, that's like movies.
And for me, it was hard because I'm from Argentina, but at the end of the day, you gotta be professional. It was hard, but I loved it. I loved it.
Okay, so I mean that's I think that's one of the great moments for me as well. And another thing, you're mentioning Argentina. Obviously, you spent time with Tapia. People want to know, what's Tapia like? Like, obviously, we see certain moments of magic, but what are people around? What are other players saying? When you see him, outside of match day as well, like, what is he? Is he just like, I would say, genius?
He's really simple, a shy guy. The first time you talk to Tapia, he doesn't say much. He's very shy, very simple, very humble, and an incredible person. He's such a nice guy, and he's a genius. I mean, he has a gift. The thing with Tapia is he doesn't understand how good he is. Whenever he's doing skills and weird shots, he thinks that is normal, and it's not. But outside the court, he's a very nice guy, and he loves football, for example. He's a big River Plate fan. Staying long to watch the games. Yeah, but super normal. Same for Arturo Coelho. They're really nice kids. You would expect that probably, they're the number ones. They're maybe arrogant or something. No. Very polite, very educated, and I love them.
But I think we need those players, because once, as we discussed a little bit earlier, there's a bit of pedal mania going on. I think you need these type of players that get you off your seat. This is what grows the match. It grows this entire sport of pedal.
Yeah, and also I've seen some people saying, "Oh, it's boring because it's always Coelho and Tapia winning." I think the opposite, honestly. I think that for the sport to grow, we need this kind of heroes, but at the same time, anti-heroes. It's happening in every single sport, in every single generation. I remember Roger Federer; he was winning everything, and you can hate that, but also you're gonna love Roger. Same thing with Coelho and Tapia, and honestly, I mean, the level and the paddle they play is the best, is perfection. So I don't think there's a person that doesn't enjoy watching Tapia and Coelho playing together.
Well, it's up to the other players now. I mean, they've set the standard, they've set the bar. The challenge is there, right? So I mean, it's like you said, it's in other sports. You've seen the Michael Jordans, you've seen Federers, and guys who dominate the sport. But that's also what brings guys in, because there's like 60% of the people want those guys to win, and the other 40% are like desperate for the next challenger to come in and knock them off their perch.
Yeah, I agree. And you have young kids watching Tapia, young kids watching Coelho, buying their shirts, which is crazy. I mean, they're not buying now the Real Madrid shirt. They're buying Agustin Tapia's shirt, which is crazy to think
Wow,
about.
okay.
But it's their role model. They are people to follow, to make the sport grow, and to bring young kids not only from Argentina and from Spain, but also from different countries like South Africa or whatever, to have a person to follow, and maybe to have in 5 to 10 years players in the main stage from South Africa, from Sweden, from the US, etc., etc.
So, are you noticing? You're saying fans are starting to buy the t-shirts of the top stars. Are you starting to notice the celebrity culture coming in now, where maybe perhaps yourself and obviously the top players are starting to get recognized as you guys travel across the globe to all these different tournaments?
Yeah, definitely. People go crazy, even more in Spain, where they are famous people, let's say. But also, it's true that it's not as big as we think. Obviously, it's not football, it's not tennis, and this paddle mania that we're talking about is, let's say, bigger, smaller than we think it is. Because you and me, we read paddle, we watch paddle, we talk about paddle. You have an account about paddle, so you breathe and you consume paddle. You're surrounded by a big bubble of paddle, but still it's growing. This being said, yes, they're famous. They get a lot of picture, even more when you go to a tournament or when you're in Spain. It's really big.
So, which tournament are you most looking forward to? I mean, obviously, it's difficult to compare, and you might have favorites. But when I say looking forward to, it doesn't necessarily have to be your favorite. It can just be something that new, perhaps, that you want to experience, or something that you have experienced before and you just can't wait to get back there.
For me, it's very clear. Argentina. The Argentina P1 for me. I mean, last season I didn't go personally. I didn't go on site. This year I'm going to Argentina. It's going to be in Buenos Aires, my city. So to be there, to experience what it feels, a tournament, a Premier Paddle tournament in Argentina, the best crowd possible, to have my family there. I'm going to be, courtside, as I always am, and to have them there, my friends, and to see their reaction when I'm working, it's going to be very special. So
Yes, that does sound like something that's unique and special to you.
yeah, it is by far. Yeah.
So you spoke a little bit about and off camera as well, that you enjoy other sports. Do you take inspiration on the commentary side from other sports? Sometimes I watch football, and like I'm a big football fan as well. And like Peter Drury, like puts it, like he goes straight to the heart with his poetic commentary type of style. And clearly, when you into many sports, not just football and paddle, you might get inspiration. And does that work for you?
Yeah, a lot. I love watching the NBA. I take a lot of stuff there. For example, the famous dunk, whenever they go for a por cuatro, or whenever they have a smash from behind the line, I go with a LeBron or Galan from downtown. That's something that I took from the NBA. Yeah, definitely. And even more because I know I'm not an English native speaker. I'm Argentinian, so basically my language is sport. So I need some stuff. I need some help from other professionals that I think are good. Um,
But I mean, that's an interesting perspective because you Spanish speaking, so that's like almost like bridging the gap, for a lot of the English speaking world. We often watch Premier Pedal and consume content from other content providers, and we sometimes we need that bridge. We sometimes don't get that fully because speaking English alone in this world is a little bit of a disadvantage, I would say.
in paddle, yes. In paddle, yes. That's why, again, that's why I think this opportunity came to me, and that's why I think you can tell me your opinion on this. I think I'm doing a good job, and why I got offered the position of as a main English commentator. It's because I'm not only explaining what's happening in the court purely, the shots and stuff, which I think I know because I worked with coaches and players, and I know the technical part. I know the stories with the players, but I'm also able to explain what's happening on the benches, which is very big, to explain what's happening on the court. In paddle, communication is fundamental, is key, whatever the players are saying. Whenever something's happening with the chair umpire, I'm the one translating what's happening. Whenever they're giving an interview, I'm translating. And that's, I think, very valuable for the guy that doesn't speak Spanish, that loves the sport and want to know what's happening. I'm trying to do
Oh
that.
yes, no, 100%. I mean, especially for a sport that's so like it's so fast. And someone to react, like almost like Chingotto at the net. You have to react to what's happening very quickly. You have to have the words ready for you. Obviously there's certain things, I mean, I'm guessing, perhaps you can tell me more, there's certain things you might be able to prepare beforehand that you might want to say or bring up into the in terms of like schooling people perhaps on shots and that type of thing, but a lot of it is just like reacting to the moment and just being present in that moment.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question because whenever I'm also commentating some matches in Spanish for Premier Padel. I'm doing both. Whenever you're talking to the Spanish audience, they're more prepared. They know the sport, so you don't have to go through the basics. You don't have to say, okay, this is a chiquita and it helps do this, and then this is a serve and you have to do this. In English, you have to find the right balance on explaining some basic rules to the guys joining for the first time and watching paddle for the first time, but without going too much onto that, because you're also going to have the guy that is a professional that understands the sport and that doesn't want to be explained or to know every single time why I cannot go hit a serve, bounce, and go to the fence. I know that, Gonza. Don't be annoying. Just tell me what's happening on the court. So we have to find a balance between accepting and rescuing the new guys, but also satisfying the guys that are more deep into the sport.
No, I noticed that, and I think you do a very good job in balancing that. Look, I was watching the reserve pedal in English too, and I think that it seems like perhaps the audience was, for beginner pedal viewers. So basically, almost everything was explained, and maybe that was needed for that. Clearly, that is what they were aiming for, to bring in a new audience. But I think you bring in a great balance of catering for people who are watching pedal, who understands chiquita, bandeja, etc., and also for the people that maybe don't understand the technical side of certain shots and certain things that players are doing.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yes. And also we have the three parts: communication, entertaining. When something's happening, I gotta be energetic. And also for me, what is very important about commentary is that in paddle, it feels like it is a sport, but also at the same time, it's like a novel, stories happening, players breaking up. And that, I think it's also very interesting for people. Oh, they're breaking up. Oh, they're playing against a team that was playing with them 1 year ago. That also I try to bring it.
And the drama is like something else, right? Because paddles played as pairs, and some pairs have a ceiling as to how good they can be. They can't possibly challenge for maybe number one or number two or whatever. So this pairings might change even after 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. Which is that drama is like fascinating to me. As a relatively new paddle fan, we could say 3 years, roughly speaking. But I mean, that you don't see much of besides, during the transfer window in football, where you have Fabrizio Romano going crazy with like
Here we
breaking
go.
news. Exactly.
Yes, yes, yes.
So on that topic, right? What pairing would you like to see at some point that currently don't play together, but in your mind, might make a fascinating couple? It could be a year, 2 years, whatever down the line.
Oh, I mean, I would love to see what happens with players like Cardona and Augsburger in the future. Now it's a fantastic team. They showed it in Riyadh, but at some point, maybe they get a call from a better player. Would love to see, I don't know, Galan and Cardona maybe in the future. I don't think it's going to happen soon because Galan said it. I'm not even thinking about changing Chingoto, but what if in the future maybe we get to see a Cardona and Galan or Lebron Augsburger? I love the physical players, very modern, able to smash to cover the court. Probably those two.
Yeah, LeBron Oxberger could be. I think with Stupa, we're starting to see something amazing as well because LeBron's now moved to the drive side. So that's brought out. It looks like perhaps the best of LeBron once again. So if Stupa can now reach to a level beyond what is currently, I think we can see something like quite amazing there.
Yeah, I remember doing an interview before the start of the season, and they asked me about how I was watching and expecting the clásico, as they call it in Spanish, between Coello Tapia and Chingoto Galan. And I said, hey, I think this year is not going to be only two teams, it's going to be three. I think there's going to be also a big challenge, a big battle between Stupa, Lebron, and Chingalan. I don't know if it's going to be enough to fight for the number one because I feel like Coelho and Tapia are in a different level. You never know. But I do think it's going to be a big battle for the second spot, Chingoto Galan and Stupa Lebron. I mean, nothing is impossible and whatever can happen. But I feel like whenever they're playing, not even at 100%, with a 70%, they have something in the key moments, in the important points, that just pushes them to the limit, and there's nothing you can really do to stop them. It's
And they're still young.
hard to tell them.
I mean, they're still young guys.
Yeah, that's the thing. We're talking about Tapia and Coelho. They've been number one for a couple of years, and we think, okay, they must be 26, 28. Oh, no, they're, I think, 23, 24. They have 8, 10 years in front of them at their prime. Bad news for the rest of the players.
Yeah, they could be. I mean, this is just historic. They probably are already one of the great pairs we've ever seen. And I mean, going forward, like, I think they're just going to set records.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Honestly, there's nothing else to say. I think it's pure domination when they're playing together.
Who are the other players that you look at to say, I've seen this player here, and I really want to keep my eye on this person here, or whatever. That's it could be, a year, 2 years, or 3 years, basically up and coming. Perhaps we even know the person, but they might be building onto new weaponry.
No, I'm going to be honest with you. This happens, for me at least, with the girls, with the women. I see a couple of good players coming in the scenario for the women. I'm not falling in love yet for any young kid. Obviously, we know Tino Libac, Augsburger, Cardona, but we know them. They're not really new. Probably the three of them are going to be the ones pushing. I don't see a kid rising too much now or doing impressive things yet. We have a lot of good players, but yet to explode. While if we go to the women, I see a lot of candidates to that question. I see, for example, Raquel Eugenio, she's great player. Martina Calvo, I always talk about Martina Calvo because I remember going to Bordeaux last year, that P2, and she was playing with Andrea Austero. And I was very surprised. Andrea Austero and Alejandra Alonso are playing out of their minds, and they're 18. Claudia Fernandez, she's already number 3, and she's there on top 3.
Exactly. Yeah.
Claudia Jensen. So I think this young wave is mostly coming from the women rather than for the men, even if we have top young players.
I mean, yeah, there'll definitely be something to look out for. I heard you speak a lot about Ostero as well on the Off Court podcast, is it? Shout out to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Andrea Austero, I remember I was in the US for an event, and that was the first time that I saw Andrea Austero playing. I didn't know her. I've heard her name before, but never saw Andrea Austero on a court, and I was like, wow, incredible. She's a magician. I think is a different player in terms of what we see in women's paddle, which, by the way, I think it's very useful for an amateur player. You learn a lot by watching the girls, even more than watching the men, because honestly, you're never going to be able to do whatever they're doing. And I remember Ustero, she was playing angles, doing weird stuff. Very fun to watch. I always enjoy doing Andrea Ustero and Ali Alonso whenever I'm commentating.
Fascinating. So another thing now, we're talking of the future. Obviously, we're looking at the sport. We spoke about Paddle Mania currently, but down the line, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, where do you see paddle? Like what does paddle look like to you, being part of that whole inner circle of the paddle scene currently?
Hopefully in the Olympics.
That's the dream.
Now, yeah. I mean, also that's my biggest dream, to commentate paddle in the Olympics. That's the biggest dream that I have, and I think that every fan has, to go to the Olympics finally. But other than that, I see the sport growing more and more and more and more. It feels like every year it's the biggest year for paddle, and we're getting better and better. I think Premier Paddle is doing a great job in going international. The FAP as well. We're having FIP tournaments in every single corner of the planet. It was not expected, if you ask me, in 2019 or 2020 to have brands like Red Bull, to have brands like Alpine and many others investing a lot of money in paddle, and that shows you the potential that has. The numbers are saying it. It's the fastest growing sport in the world, and that's for a reason. If we manage it correctly, if we push the players the way they have to do it, I think it's going to be very big. Not as big as in tennis, but very big.
But I mean, there clearly is something about it, and not only with. I mean, if you look at the footballers, for example, there's every footballer's playing paddle. They're just like an easy transition to the sport. They're all caught by the bug, basically. I've seen Ronaldo basically opening some courts out. Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Aguero's got a team at the Hexagon. It's like sports players, footballers especially, are like heavily involved.
Yeah, and that's free marketing.
It's a driver.
You have Formula One drivers playing paddle. You have golf players playing paddle. You have footballers playing paddle. You have a lot of people. I mean, to have Cristiano Ronaldo not only going to the Riyadh P1, but also broadcasting the finals in his YouTube channel with more than 75 million subscribers. That was crazy. I remember that day, I was very nervous. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to commentate on Cristiano Ronaldo's channel. There's going to be a lot of people watching. That we were talking about one of the best moments in my career, and I mentioned you the World Cup. That's also one of those. Being on Cristiano
that was
Ronaldo's
unbelievable.
YouTube channel.
Yeah. And you know what? They don't broadcast it here, but I got a VPN just to go and watch that. So I did. I was
weird flags. Probably nobody understanding what was happening, but Cristiano Ronaldo is Cristiano Ronaldo. He has more fans than anyone. It was.
And I was when I watched the Riyadh P1, right? I was quite surprised. There was some point I'm looking at. Ronaldo basically watched almost every single game, right? Especially when the Dois brothers were on court. But there was some point I'm looking there and I'm saying, okay, Ronaldo and like 3 of his crew are sitting there alone. And if anyone else had bought a ticket, they're basically watching it with Ronaldo.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of security. It's not easy to get to Cristiano Ronaldo, believe me. But yeah, he was enjoying it as a fan, enjoying it like a child, going there, supporting the team. Everyone was trying to get pictures, but I'm telling you, there was a big security team behind
Did
it.
you get one?
No, 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 I didn't. I didn't.
Okay.
But if I see, this is very Argentinian to say, if I see Messi one day, I'm gonna get one or try
Oh,
to get
okay.
one.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean,
I remember being in the on Cristiano's channel, thinking, "What if I say Messi's better than Cristiano?" Don't say it. Don't say it. You're gonna lose your job because, and they will kill you. These guys.
oh yeah, 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 yeah. So I mean, that's. I guess you don't want to really get into that, right? But
Yeah,
the two greatest. Let's just call it that. The one and two,
yeah, yeah.
the
I love
greatest.
Cristiano as well. Yeah.
Okay, so we also we're gonna move on to some of the questions that we'd received from.
See this. I saw your story yesterday, and I was like, I want to know what people want to know.
Yeah, so we got we pulled out a couple from there. One of the questions actually was a personal one to you, which in terms of your family. So they want to know what questions do your family ask you about the players paddle in general, basically. What questions do you get from your family when you get home?
Uh,
Like the most common ones.
Yeah, no, I mean for example, one part of my family, they don't know nothing about the sport, so they basically ask about the city. Oh, how was food? How was the city, the hotel? Then I have a big paddle friends group, and they are also asking me, hey, can you give us some insights? Hey, what's happening between this and this? I get more questions from my friends than from my family. My family is always asking me about, the place, food, culture. But I have to say also in this one that it's not an easy job in terms of having a family. I don't have kids, but imagine if you have to travel that much and having kids, it's really hard.
Okay, no, that yeah, that's an interesting insight actually, because I mean it's for the players as well.
Yeah,
Not
exactly.
the commentary team, the players, everyone, their coaches. It makes it quite difficult.
And even more for them because when I'm going to a tournament, I know for a fact that I'm going for 7 days. I'm gonna stay there the entire tournament. If you're a player that doesn't perform that well, if you're not going on top and you know that probably you'll be there until the weekend, you have a tournament in a random corner, you go there, you lose the first day, and you have to travel back 12 hours. So you're basically spending more time in a plane than there, and mentally very tough for a paddle player. Whenever you go to a tournament, you lose the first round, that you have to go back. That's very, very tough.
So that's quite heavy. I mean, not just paddle, but in tennis too, because obviously the higher ranking you are, the more money you're going to make out of it, and the further you go into the tournaments, the better preparation you're going to have. It's almost like it feeds into itself, then, right?
Exactly,
The
exactly. That's
coaches,
why
as we spoke about.
sponsors are so important for the players to cover these expenses to go to the tournaments to keep participating and playing.
Okay, so another one is give one or two behind the scenes stories about players, something that we may not know.
Okay, okay. Uh, may not know. I mean, there are a couple that I cannot say. But for example, I remember in Kuwait, the tournament was held in a stadium, but they also had the Rafa Nadal Academy there in Kuwait. By the way, impressive, insane facilities. Um, Players going there to play tennis in the free time. And we have a guy from the Premier Paddle team, the community manager, one of the community managers. He's a very good tennis player, and he challenged Fede Chingoto for a match. Chingoto is a really strong player, and Fede Chingoto is so competitive, so competitive. And they played the match. I think it was for a dinner, but I felt like, okay, Fede Chingoto is getting more involved in this match than in a Premier Paddle final. It was crazy to think. And also with Fede Chingoto, a big football fan. I remember I was talking to him in the World Championships, and he told me, "Oh, Gonza, damn, I'm worried because in my fantasy team I have too many Villarreal players and they're not playing well, and I feel like, oh, whenever I put a defender from Real Madrid, they don't perform. My friends put a defender from Leganés, and somehow he scores. Yeah, very fantasy football player fan.
That's that's actually such a lovely insight. It's fascinating to get into. You get to see the players on like such a personal level.
Yeah, whenever they,
How
I
their
mean,
mind ticks, right?
we're sharing hotel, we're spending time together. I go down to have breakfast, and I'm having breakfast next to Paquito. So yeah, it's
And
basically
who's your friend? Like who's your best friend on from the circuit?
that one. I'm gonna keep it for myself because
Okay, okay.
I'm gonna
Don't
tell
want
you
to
off
break any
camera.
hearts, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so yeah, so another one is another one was the Ronaldo question. Did you get to meet Ronaldo? And what is it like to have Ronaldo come into a Premier Pedal tournament? So you
I was very busy. I didn't get the chance to actually go and see Cristiano, but I think it was very important to have Cristiano. It was a revolution every time he was coming. Cameras, people trying to get them, but even if he was there, it was very private. He had his own suite, and he was going there and moving. It was very well organized and structure, not to have any problems, but to have the guy that has more followers across all social media, hosting the sport. And people, I've read a lot of comments saying, oh, Premium Paddle paid a lot for this. No, they didn't pay a cent or euro. It was Cristiano Ronaldo, the one doing it, because he
it's just the
wanted to do
love.
it. It was not about money. It was not about money. So to have the biggest athlete in terms of followers investing time and resources on paddle, it shows you that it's something special.
Another one is how does social media affect you? So you obviously we're in the world of social media. So as soon as you say something, or a moment happens, or perhaps you're gonna get a lot of praise, I'm sure, and perhaps also some criticism.
You're not going to be loved by everybody. That's why, for
Exactly.
example, I remember reaching out to you, because I appreciate it when people get your commentary pieces, because you're spending time there. So in order to have a guy taking time to do it, I like it. Obviously, it's better whenever you get people telling you good things rather than bad things. In my case, fortunately, I get more good comments than bad comments. And I love interacting with people. Probably if you're watching the games, you saw how I'm trying to get people to participate, to send the questions, to read their names, because I feel like it's important for them and it's special. If you're watching the game and you hear your name, I try to get this link with the crowd, and that's why
Interesting.
probably I'm getting more good comments than bad comments, and also because I'm um, whenever I make a mistake, whenever I say a name wrong, for example, if I say Lebron Galan, I'm like, oh, you stupid, and I'm on air. Stop doing that. I accept that I'm not perfect, and I understand that people could think that too, but it's never likable to read something bad.
Of course, of course. So you have to have a bit of a thick skin in that sense, right?
To do it, you have to do it.
So the final question from the fans was the interview. So the question, basically, to put it in a certain way, is what are the players like? Do you have to treat the players in a certain way, or when you're interviewing them post match? For example, say you're talking to LeBron, so you have to like watch what you're saying with certain things, or anything goes. Maybe with say Tapia as an example.
I mean, you know that every player has their own personality. So it's good for me to know every one of them. So I know what to ask to Lebron, to Alan, to Tapia, or the way they want to be asked. That's very good. Second, for them, it's very important to see a familiar face. It's easier for me to talk to you if you're my friend or if you know me, rather than if you're a random person. Uh, and then it's easy. And why I say it's easy, it's because whenever they come to me, it means they won the match. So they will be happy, most likely. Uh, Only if they're not going to be happy if something weird happens, if they're complaining about something, there's a specific situation. But whenever they won, they go to the interview, they want to talk, and they're very happy. Whatever, something that it's sometimes harder and complicated to do is to convince them to say a few words in English that they don't like. That there, some of them are like, oh, come on, Gonza, no, not today. I'm tired. Please, no. And I'm like, only one, only one. They don't like it. They should do it. They should do it more. But the rest, it's kind of chill.
No, that's another fantastic insight into that, because, and that's also something in the future that's going to be needed, right? As you now heading into more English markets and things like that, the marketability of guys like King Arturo, etc.
Yeah, they know how important it is, but it's not easy to learn a language from zero. And some of the players were good. They have a decent English, but they tell me, Gonza, one thing is talking to you off camera, and the other thing is whenever you have a microphone. And it's not easy. People think it's easy, but you have to be there. You have the camera in front of you. You have people watching from the stadium. Your face is in the entire stadium, and everyone is watching you and listening to you. So it's complicated for them to do it in front of public and camera.
Okay, no, that's so another thing is, I don't know if you realize this, but you are also part of, like, I'm sure you do actually, but you're like part of building the whole culture of paddle, because you're an English commentator, like you're saying, you're bringing new people into the game by talking of certain things from other sports, like you're saying dunk, and other words that you bring in. Those words eventually become solidified and part of the game. 10 years down the line, this is you that built that, and that's quite something, right?
That's something special, and the reason why I'm so happy about the job that I have now, because I know in the future it could be something big. Now you were mentioning new words and new ideas. If people want to if you want to post something, and people have different ideas, a super word that we can use every time, there's a great point. I'm super open to it. And we can also create it together, this culture, this new project. But yeah, my biggest ambition is whenever you turn on TV and you see a sport, you recognize a voice and oh, that's a guy from football. That's the guy from basketball just by the voice. Well, that's the
Exactly.
idea behind paddle, that people, whenever they turn on TV and they listen to me, oh, that's Gonza. He is a guy that is commentating paddle.
So there's the challenge you actually put out, because there's the one shot from Tapia, the one that was spinning like, bend it like Beckham, we mentioned basically. It went around LeBron. Stupa couldn't get to it. That shot needs a name, right? I haven't seen that before.
Yeah, it was a weird. I mean, Tapia is always creating new things, and it's very challenging sometimes whenever you're watching Tapia, because you never know what's going to happen. Sometimes you, as a commentator, you can predict. Okay, we're going to have a smash here. We're going to have this, following a pattern. With Tapia, you got to
Exactly.
be very focused all the time, because something special could happen. And yeah, that was a weird shot. I was reading the comments also. I think a guy called it moco. I was reading the moco definition and talking to some coaches, and we don't really use it in Spain. It's more something in the northern part of Europe. But yeah, sometimes new things happen, and it's good also.
Yeah. So I mean, let's put the challenge out there. If someone can name that shot,
Yeah,
the next time it happens, we'll have a name for that, right?
Beckham shot. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, I mean, one more thing, is I don't know if you're ready for this, but it's at some stage you're gonna, like, hopefully it'll be you, but at some stage there'll be a video game. A Premier Paddle video game, and we need an English voice behind it. It's probably a lot of hard work behind that, but we actually need that, and that's like, we see EA Sports with football and NBA. There's going to be Premier Paddle at some stage, and that could be you.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
Okay, no, it's fantastic to have you. Amazing to speak to you. You shared like some amazing insights with the audience, and I think we have to have you back at some point.
Whenever you want, whenever you want. I'm 100% supporting people from different countries investing time and having an Instagram account, having a YouTube channel, trying to make it grow all together. Me from my space, you from your space, the players from their space. I think we all are part of a big project, a big thing, and we all love sport. We're passionate about it. So whenever you want, I'm gonna be available. Also, you have my account. We've been messaging for a couple months now. So yeah, feel free to let me know, and thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
It's Gonza Oubiña.
Ah, perfect.
Is that a bit better? Thank you.
Not an easy one.
Not
Yeah.
an easy one, but yeah, no, I'll remember that one. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Zaahid. And whenever you want, here we are.